Hi there! Hello, I'm Clifford Bates, and welcome once again to reading Machiavelli's Discourses. Today we are continuing Book 1, and we're looking at Chapter 36. Now, the last chapter we dealt with the December. We've been dealing with, you had two chapters that dealt with dictatorship, and then last chapter we dealt with the December verse, the 10 who became the laws, and why this was a danger, because it was the exception. It was something that should have not been negative based on the principle that Machiavelli raised earlier. But now we're doing another question. 36 continues on this theme about dangers and things. Chapter 36 says citizens who have had greater honor should not disdain lesser ones. In other words, if you've been given the greatest honors, you shouldn't then disdain lesser orders. Don't you have contempt for the lesser honors? Let's go. This is a short chapter, so let's go do it. Right, this. The Romans had made Marcus Fabius and G. Manlius consuls, and had won a very glorious battle against the Venites and the Etruscans, in which Quintus Fabius, the consul's brother, who had been consul the year before, was killed. Right, Fabius was killed. Right, this is Livy 2. In some editions, we have manliness, not manus, manilus, not manlius. So this is why I have to be careful about this reference here. The question is who's killed before it was killed, right? That Fabius was killed. The consul Quintus Fabius was killed. The question is manliness, whether it's if there's an extra I here. We have to be careful because there's a confusion here. Here one should consider how the orders of that city were suited to making it great, and how much other republics that are distant from its modes deceived themselves. In other words, this is the thing about this. The Romans made themselves great by doing something here. That he says that, and if you don't follow this mode, you're deceiving yourselves. For though the Romans were great lovers of glory, nevertheless they did not esteem it a dishonorable thing to obey now one whom they had commanded in another time, and to find themselves serving in the army which they had been princes. Okay, in other words, great charge. In other words, generals or consuls. They have been. In other words, one time you're the consul, you're the guy in charge, and then what happens is next time you're not the consul, you're someone else. So the Romans had no problem of serving. Someone. I may have been consul before, but now I'm not consul, so I'm going to serve my job. I'm going to take it. So now you're serving. In other words, I'll get. Now, of course, I'm not going to get all the glory. He's going to get the glory. So, but I've had glory in the past. I had that office and had the glory that had. Now, in other words, they're not that kind. They will nevertheless serve. In other words, no. I'm not going to serve. I'm not going to. It's beneath my dignity to take a lesser office. No, I was great. I'm going to do a lesser office. This is a danger in a lot of republic or free states, is that there's the arrogance that I won't serve. I won't do something for service in that sense. No. Such a customs is contrary to the opinions, orders, and modes of citizens in our time. In Venice, there is still an error that a citizen who had great rank is ashamed to accept a lesser one, and the city consents to his being able to keep his distance from it. So, in other words, he has to. In other words, he doesn't have to serve the city anymore. This is the problem with former presidents. America, there's a problem with former presidents. What do they do? And it's kind of dishonorable if the president does something. Okay. Oh, but he's going to be outside of it. He's above it. No, and it's a shame that he does something else. I think this is a mistake. Machiavelli says this is a mistake. The Romans, the people who had office, could then serve would have no problem serving in a subordinate office. The only person in American history that a president, a former president who then did something, there's two of them. One is John Quincy Adams, who was a congressman, a member of the House. And the second one is, Taft, who becomes a justice of the Supreme Court. Okay, so there's two examples in America. One, the congressman, he's a long-term congressman from then the other example, but then again, his example is he wasn't elected by the, Quincy Adams was actually elected by Congress, not by the people, where Taft was elected by the people, and was then became lost power because of the fight between Roosevelt and I think Wilson made him a justice, or maybe he put himself as justice, or I can't remember offhand. So Venetians were like, it was like, in other words, though he's a private individual, together useless. In other words, though such a thing may be honorable for a private individual, it is altogether useless for the public. This idea, in other words, it may be good for a private person, individual, but it's useless for the public. The republic should have more hope and should trust more in a citizen, the one who from great rank had a great rank to govern in a lesser one than one had in the one who rises from lesser to govern the greater. In other words, this idea is that, okay, this guy higher should be given that because he should have experience. He has experience. We should expect him. And in other words, a republic should have more hope and should trust more in a citizen who descends from great rank to govern in a lesser one than one who rises from a lower one to a higher one, right? To govern a greater one. For one cannot reasonably believe in the latter unless one sees men around him who are of so much reverence or so much virtue that his newness can be moderated with their counsel and their authority, right? He has to have people like this and like this. You have to have the counsel. You have to have those wise men around you. The new person coming in power has to have these people who had power before around him so they can give him advice and counsel, right? Moderate. The newness can be moderated but with their counsel and their authority. And if in Rome there had been such a custom as is in Venice or in other modern republics and kingdoms, that he who had been consul once would never again wish to go in the armies unless he were consul, infinite things unfavorable to a free lay of life would have arisen, both through the errors new men would have made and through the ambition they would have been able to use better if they had men around them in the sight of whom they feared to err. In other words, if they had those men who had those things around you, underneath you, you don't want to fuck up. You don't want to err, because their example is beneath you, and they're beneath you, and you have to show them. In other words, you can turn to them for advice. You can turn to them for things. Now, this is what is so interesting about this. This is why the Romans here. So they would come to be more unshackled, which would have turned out wholly to the public. In other words, the danger of those people who are now private, and the public, no check, no challenge. Those young, ambitious men would have no check on them. In that sense, that's one thing. And also, the private men would come to resent it. They would resent being bored. They're out of boredom. And the public has no use to their talents. Okay, and that the younger people coming in who'd have no experience, have no knowledge, don't have them there as guides. And therefore, they would become wholly unshackled, he says, and would have turned out wholly to public detriment. And that's why this was a good example. This is why the modern example is very bad in the sense that we shun public duty. Okay, well, that's it. You have any comments, please hit the like. I mean, first of all, if you have any comments or things like this, please put them below, and I will respond to them when I see them. If you liked it, hit the like button, and I will hit the like button. Share it. Share the video. Share it far and wide. Share it on your social media. Share it with your friends. And if you have not subscribed, please subscribe. Encourage others to come check out the channel. Go ask your friends to come. Maybe encourage them to subscribe. Go. You can check out the various videos we have on the different themes and different books, including 2 playthroughs through the prints that we've done and other things. Another thing you can do is if you didn't like the video, you can always thumbs down, but say why in the comments so we can know what it is and what's wrong, and maybe you can other people looking at to see your comments. Oh yeah, okay. And again, we're doing this series to kind of educate people, help educate people in a sense on the discourses, helping them go read through it. Another thing you can do is if you want to follow me on social media, the social media links are below. If you want to know more about me as a researcher and a scholar, the academic social media links are below those. And if you want to help me to do what I do, you can do so through Patreon or Subscribe Store. The links are below there. Well, that's and if you want, another way you can do is buy one of my books. You can do so through your local bookstore or through an online distributor like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and so forth and so on, or then you can order it through the publishers directly. Well, that's it. We'll see you next time, and see you on the next time when we hit the next chapter. Take care. Bye-bye.